Hello and good evening, and welcome to episode 2 of Total Evercade Podcast, brought to you by Retro Gaming Revival, the #1 Evercade podcast with news, views, and honest opinions. I am Ryan, your host this evening, and joining us for the next hour is Blunners from Retro Gaming Revival.
Hello, hi everyone. Hope you're all right.
Good to have you here, Blunners. Joining us for the first time on Total Evercade Podcast, we have TriangleFace, also from Retro Gaming Revival.
Hello.
So hi, nice to have you here. And also returning as a panel member tonight, the #1 Evercade fan and the go-to place for all the latest Evercade news on Twitter. It's Top and Hat. So welcome back.
It's great to be here. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you for joining us again. As always, we have 4 topics that we'll cover this evening. And as we do on each episode, we'll start with the latest Evercade news and what the panel have been playing. With that in mind, it's been a very busy in the world of Evercade over the last 2 weeks since we were last with you. We've had some big news, and the really big news this week was the revealing of an Evercade travel mug. So if you haven't already seen that, just share that with you quickly now.
It's got TriangleFace written all over this.
I could see him picking this
Do you
up.
like a good travel mug, I have to say?
So there you go. There you go.
Boom.
There we go. That also does spoil the next bit of news because we've had a couple of smaller announcements. The Team 17 Amiga Collection 1 and an accidental reveal of Piko Collection 3, which we'll discuss both carts in more detail on the show. We've also had the EXP limited editions arrive in the UK, and they have arrived or are on their way to those waiting, which is great news and ahead of the deadline Evercade set, I believe, which I think was the end of March. So that's really good. We've also had the last firmware update on the original handheld, which has fixed various bugs and allows you to choose competition mode and coin limits, bringing the handheld more in line with the EXP and VS. But as I say, that's the last firmware update unless there's any major bugs. But anyway, that's enough from me. So I'm going to hand over to Blunners to find out what he's been playing over the last couple of weeks on Evercade and what his thoughts are on the latest news, skipping over the 2 cartridge announcements because we will cover them as separate topics.
Yeah, so, well, what I've been playing, I literally picked up Indie Heroes 1. I managed to pick it up for dirt cheap, really, £13 on Vinted. It's always good to keep an eye on there so you can get some bargains. Yeah, I did have a brief go on this around your house, Ryan, quite a lot around by Christmas. And but the main game I've been playing recently was Doodle World on it. I've really like the platforming, collecting. The art style was brilliant. Well, we were just saying off air, just wish there was a bit more to collecting all these crayons rather than just getting a one-up or like a life. It would be good if you could upgrade like your character or something like that. But yeah, so that's the main one I've been playing on that cart recently. I've played a little bit of Indie Heroes 2, but not as much. But no, really Indie Heroes 1, and really heard really good things about it, and yeah, really enjoying it.
Do you prefer Indie Heroes 1 over 2?
Well, yes, at the minute I do. Indie Heroes 2 is good, and I do like some of the games, but yeah, I do prefer Indie Heroes 1 at the minute.
Yeah, it is a great collection. And Doodle World, I believe, was designed or made by a child. Or I might be off with that. I think.
Yeah, I think there's another game on there that said that.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Something World, something beginning with K, I think it is.
Yeah,
Something
Derek's
like
desperate to tell us because he knows.
right.
Yeah, I can't think how you pronounce it now, but yeah, I do know because there's 3, isn't there? There's 2 hidden ones on the verses.
That's
right.
right.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's the one I'm getting confused.
Yeah, I think it's like based off of their kids' drawings. I think the kid did a drawing, and then the developer made a game out of the drawing. Didn't they? That's it. Yeah,
That's it. Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And Blunners, do you have any thoughts on the news this week? The travel mug, is that something you've got your eye on?
Oh, who wouldn't want a lovely travel mug? With all the football I do outside, I do normally nick a travel mug with me, so I might get one for my birthday at the end of the month.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something to keep your eye on. And as I say, good news about the EXP limited editions arriving. Not tempted, Blunners, if any more become available?
Not yet. I want to wait for that. Like we said on the last one, I think I'll wait. I'd rather get a Versus or a VS next. That might be my next purchase before. But yeah, I will get one, but not yet.
Yeah, they're the VS is very good. And as you know from playing at Realm Mine, it's well worth getting. And I'm sure someone who you know very closely will try and sell you a limited edition.
Yeah.
Gold one.
Hang on a minute. Who, this guy? This guy.
Yeah, it will be in the chat shortly. He will be trying to sell you that. So, right, TriangleFace. What have you been playing on Evercade, and what are your thoughts on the news over the last couple of weeks?
I played a little bit of Indie Heroes 2. I've not tried everything on there yet, but then I started playing Hours Awakening. And that sucked me in. So I've just been playing that for the past sort of week or so. So still haven't finished sort of trying out all the games in Indie Heroes 2. I'll have to come back to that, I think. But yeah, so far Hours Awakening has been really good. Quite enjoying that. And again, we mentioned having the VS. I think playing on the VS a bit and then playing on the handheld as well. I quite like jumping between the two. And I actually think having a VS has made me play my Evercade more. I don't think I'll be playing it as much, but where I've got the option to play it on the TV a bit easier, I've been jumping back and forth a bit. As I was saying before we went live, I think the difficulty level of Hours Awakening is about right. It's not too difficult and it's not too like stress-inducing to play or too hard, but it's also not a complete breeze. Like you have to try some of the platform elements are a bit tricky, and then some of the puzzles you have to have a little think to figure out what's going on. But I haven't found myself stuck for too long on any one bit, so I'm making regular progress. So yeah, so far that's been really fun. Some news. I think I've got the original handheld still, so I'll have to sort out the latest firmware update, and hopefully that'll all be working well. And same view as everyone else. Think on getting a VS. I am just going to hold fire until I'm happy there's like a new batch of them out and they've ironed out some issues. But I would like to get one. I do think they do look nicer. But again, it's a hard decision to make when I'm absolutely happy with the standard Evercade OG is fine. So I'm not as motivated to fork out the money for a EXP at the moment, but would like to get one eventually though. So it's something I'll come back to.
And more importantly, will you be picking up the travel mug?
Oh, I don't know. It actually looks. I do like it. It does look good. So what is the bundle? Is it you have to get the travel mug and both the cartridges?
Yeah, I don't know if it must be bundled in together.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll go into more details why, but I don't think I'll be picking up the Team 17 cartridge. So if I was planning on getting both, then the bundle I'd probably go for to get the mug. But I'm not going to buy a cartridge I wasn't planning on getting just to get a mug.
Okay,
so.
You can get double reward points in Cafe Nero though, so you get double stamps if you use reusable. Wow. Well, you can probably get it in any coffee shop. I should just advertise one. All coffee shops probably do the same deal. I'm not in any way associated to Cafe Nero, but I do know I'd go there often, and they do give you double stamps if you bring your own cup. I've always been tempted to, totally going off topic here, to bring like my RGR mug from home and just say, can you fill this one up for me, please? And I'll sit in there with it. I'm sure they would.
Ryan.
That's allowed. Anyway, right. So Top and Hat, what have you been playing over the last couple of weeks, and your thoughts on the news?
Well, I've been targeting 3 games mainly over the last couple of weeks. The first one's Lightning Swords on the ImRing cartridge, and how I never got to play this originally back in the day, I don't know, but it's absolutely fantastic, and I think they've got the difficulty just right in it. The boss battles aren't too long, and it's a fantastic little feature. If you hold down the sword swiping button, it'll charge up your sword and let out quite a powerful sort of ray from it. And depending on how you power that up as to how powerful the ray is. So, yeah, that's super game. And I really encourage people to give that a go.
Is that a Tate game or is that a standard one?
That's just a standard one.
Okay.
A Tate one I've been playing as well is Legendary Wings. And you'll find this on the Capcom, on the EXP. And fantastic game. It's a top-down shooter, which isn't for everyone, but at certain points in the level, you'll get sucked into like a large stone monument's mouth, and it'll go 2D. And then you'll be on foot then firing your gun. And you'll face a little boss at the end of that. And then later on in other stages, there's also little hidden areas. And if you go down there, it'll give you a little bonus round where you've got to collect all of the treasure chests. So, I mean, you know, pretty good fun. And it does get pretty hectic towards the end of the game. But yeah, I think the learning curve builds up quite well. And yeah, it's definitely one people should check out. The last one I've been playing is 1944 Loop Master. And this one, again, the difficulty's fantastic. It starts off, some of the levels are actually only a few seconds long. It's mainly about those boss battles. So in some levels, you might only face a couple of waves of planes, and then you'll go straight into a monstrous boss who might be 4 or 5 screens big, and like a battleship or something like that, and have to take him out. So yeah, I've been having a lot of fun on those at the minute. And that one isn't Tate mode. That's actually regular screen. So yeah, it's definitely one I think people should give a go to.
Okay, have you been finding yourself playing the game in Tate mode and on the EXP, and has it been comfortable whilst you're playing it, or can you only sort of play it in short bursts?
I've not experienced any problems in longevity playing it. I try not to do too many levels too quickly and complete the game, if you know what I mean, too quickly. So yeah, I might do 2 or 3 levels and then leave that one and play a different one. So yeah, I don't want to crush them all in 5 minutes. And once I get into the swing of something like 1944, yeah, it's pretty hard to put it down. But yeah, I've been really enjoying it. And does it add a feature to the game? I'm not sure, really. I guess it's nice to have it on that sort of full screen. But yeah, if it was just the other way round, I don't think it would really bother me. You can play it that way if you want. So yeah, there's nothing stopping you holding it the other way round if you want to. I don't think it really shrinks the screen too much.
No. Okay, and your thoughts on the news this week? Obviously, it's been quite a packed couple of weeks since we were last speaking. So first question, will you be getting the travel mug? And then your thoughts on the other news that I mentioned at the start.
Well, I've got to really, haven't I? I'm committed. I've got to have this travel mug. I've got a pretty decent collection with some very rare things in that Evercade collection. So yeah, I've got to add a travel mug, haven't I? Yeah, it's got to be done, or I'm going to look back in anger.
Need to see a photo of it. You get it.
Got to sit on here drinking out of it, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and did you have a limited edition EXP? Have you got one on its way, or did you?
It's on its way. So yeah, it should hopefully arrive either tomorrow or Wednesday, I would imagine. So yeah.
Okay, excellent. And have you updated your OG handheld to the new?
I have indeed. Yeah, I've updated all 5 of them. So yeah, they're all up to scratch. So
so I'm just laughing at all 5 of them.
Yeah.
I have to say, running the update today was very easy on a PC. I've done it before. I hadn't done it for a while since the last update, and I was dreading doing it, thinking this is really complicated from memory.
I'm
but it's
pretty sure
actually
they've
not.
improved it. They've got to. It's only like 1 button and it was in pretty much. So
yeah,
very easy.
Good. Okay, so very interesting to hear all of your views on the latest news and what you've been playing. But of course, the big news this week has been the 2 cartridge announcements. So we're going to start with the Team 17 Collection 1 and get everyone's thoughts. So I'm going to start with you. I'm going to start with you, Sir Top and Hat, this time, because I'm going to get up the trailer and share it on the screen, and you can hopefully talk us through a lot of these games. So if I share, I'm using 2 screens tonight, which I don't usually do. This is going to go terribly wrong. So here we go. So you can all see that. So here's the trailer. So over to you, Sir Top and Hat, to talk us through.
Right. Well, everybody's been looking forward to these Amiga games. A lot of people like myself back in the day had an Amiga 500 or Amiga 500 Plus. So it's great to see, I think, a pretty varied selection there. First game, obviously, you see there is Alien Breed. Now, I just want to touch on this very quickly. Is this Alien Breed, as you say, is the special edition. And for people like myself who have the special edition, you'll know what the differences are. But if you don't, I'll quickly tell you. The special edition had 12 new levels. It also had something that I know Nintendo Ollie would absolutely love, and that was a thing called dark mode. And what dark mode is, the level's completely in the dark, and all you get to see of the aliens is their blue eyes when they open them. So you don't even know if they're in the next room or in your room, but you might start firing madly, and yeah, it's just fantastic fun. Another one is levels where you've got no aliens, but the self-destruct has been activated, and you've got to try and get out as quickly as possible. I think that's a fantastic option, and it can really bring a lot of fun, especially if you have some of your friends over. And also the other thing that you've got with the special edition is you've got codes for every level. So if, like myself, you want to try and complete it as genuinely as you can practice those levels and keep coming back to them with the codes. So I think that's a massive plus. So yeah, we've got a lot to look forward to there. There was another one there in the trailer called Project X. Now, I don't know if anybody else has ever played Project X. I certainly did back in the day. And if you played the original, you'll know it's 10 times harder than any shooter on Evercade. But by having the special edition, this brings some great things. Now, the levels are slightly shorter in the special edition, which isn't a bad thing because they were massive originally. Also, they've removed certain alien waves from the special edition, which made it too difficult, too tricky to get through some of those asteroid belts and things like that. Also, your ship starts in a far better position with better firepower. Originally, you started off with a pea shooter, but now you've actually got some decent arsenal behind you. And also with the special edition, you have a rookie mode. So for people who are very new to this type of shooter, you can click on the rookie mode and it makes life a whole lot easier.
Okay, well that's really good to hear. And do you think, as a Team 17 collection, obviously we're missing Super Frog, but I believe there's an issue with LucasAid.
There is, yeah. Unfortunately, the LucasAid license has got to be removed. It does make reference to it on the start screens and throughout the game. So yeah, that would have to be removed. Is it something Team 17 to do? I don't know. I'm hoping they'll farm it out. I could think of 3 or 4 people that would probably do it for them. But yeah, it's a massive game. Everybody loves it. I loved it back in the day. I want to see Super Frog at some point. So hopefully, I mean, maybe even Evercade can come to a deal where they can perhaps offer to remove it for them. I don't think it's a big deal. It's only mentioned 2 or 3 times, literally, in opening sequences. And I think the bottles themselves, I mean, it could be orangeade for all you know in the game. It's just little pixelated bottles. So I don't see the problem myself. I'm pretty sure they can come to some form of deal.
They got around it with Zool and Chubba Chub, didn't they? So
yeah, exactly. And at the moment, with people like LucasAid, they can't really advertise because of the sugar in the products and things like that. I don't think they'd say no to a bit of publicity in a video game.
No, definitely not. Okay, but overall, you're happy with the collection? Is this what you expected from the first Amiga collection?
Yeah. Funny you should say that. If you remember back in October last year, what did I cover on Twitter? Yes, every game in this collection. A lot of people did tell me how much it wouldn't be coming. Oh, yes. But anyway, it's here now. So, yeah, ironically, yeah, that is quite funny. I would have, of course, liked to have seen a helicopter game Apache. That's a really good game. And also, instead of body blows, ultimate body blows would have been nice, but I'll settle for those on a second collection, and hopefully they can bring Alien Breed 3D. That would certainly be something interesting, and as you say, perhaps even Super Frog. So yeah, that would be even those few games would be a pretty worthy collection. There's a few others they could bring in from Team 17. There was an RPG as well they did, which was really good, and it was sort of done in the same time as the Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. So okay. It's got a lot of resemblances to that. So yeah, I think that's a definite idea they could look at.
Okay, well, as the Top and Hat just said, he mentioned this back in October. So do follow him on Twitter if you don't already. The link to his Twitter channel is in the description of this video. So do go and give him a follow, and you'll get news before you even know that you're getting news through him. Okay, so Blunners. What's your thoughts? Does this Amiga collection appeal to you? Did you have an Amiga?
Yeah, so it's really odd actually because we did have an Amiga back in the day, and this has brought back loads of memories. So I vaguely remember playing these as a kid. So yeah, definitely, this is one I might be buying actually. I vaguely remember like seeing the shoot. What was the shooter called again? The
Project X.
Project X. That brought back memories. I remember playing that with my brother back when we were really young. So yeah, so I think this is definitely one I might be looking at getting. I'm not 100% with all of the games on here, but but there is quite a few that I do remember playing. So yeah, I think this might be one I do pick up.
Yeah, it does look interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Does bowling appeal to you as a game? I mentioned this on Facebook. I don't, like Nintendo Wii bowling's good fun, but is bowling good on using a joypad or joystick? I guess back then.
No, not for
Or even
me.
a
But I think
mouse.
that'd be better if you're on a VS. Really, I think on a bigger screen,
Yeah, definitely. Maybe playing with friends.
playing with friends. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it's all about bringing back couch co-op with the VS. So yeah, okay. And Mr. TriangleFace, you did touch on this earlier. So yeah, your thoughts on this collection, and was this what you expected? And did you have an Amiga back in the day?
Well, I didn't have an Amiga, but I had an Acorn, which I think there's quite a bit of crossover. So a lot of the games I liked on the Acorn were on the Amiga as well. So a lot of the games that I played were actually on the Acorn. Yeah, I wasn't really too sure what to expect, but they've gone down the route of having it all one developers, all Team 17. You mentioned sort of good for co-op stuff, and actually all the games on here are two-player, aren't they? So you've got probably be one more for the VS, I think, than the handheld. So there's lots of two-player games on there. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm thrilled about having 3 of Alien Breed games all on the same cartridge, but having said that, there's also quite a good variety on here. You've got platformers, you've got shooters, you've got the bowling, you've got the bracing, and then you've got a fighting game on there with body blows, and you've got the full contact as well. So quite a good range of games. I'll be honest, a lot of people are talking about Super Frog. I just saw another comment there saying no Super Frog. I don't think I've ever played Super Frog. So I think I might have to go seek it out now and find out what that's about. I suppose another thing I was thinking about with this is where there's a bit like this with the Commodore 64 collection, because you can get the Commodore 64 Mini, and I think, well, actually, is it worth just buying the Mini instead of this cartridge? And I have been tempted with the Amiga 500 Mini. It does look really good, but the price difference is quite a big difference there, isn't it? The Amiga 500 Mini is a lot more than what the Commodore 64 Mini was. So I suppose really I'd have to think if I do still want to get an Amiga 500 Mini, I probably wouldn't buy this cartridge. But again, I don't know if I've settled on buying that, because if I've got enough money to buy that, would I buy that or an EXP? So I think this is probably one of the ones I might not immediately get, but I could always see myself going back and getting it if I wanted to add to my collection at a later date. If I was missing some cartridges, this one might still appeal to me later.
Yeah, and don't forget you're getting a color manual as well, which is nice, which you wouldn't get with the Amiga Mini.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the thing as well with all of these, it's about having the collection of the cartridge, isn't it? Because a lot of these, I've got quite a few mini consoles and retro Pis, and if you just wanted to play some of the games, you could probably easily find ways to play them for free online on different websites and stuff like that, and get hold of them somehow. So it's more about actually having a collection, isn't it? And having the cartridges. And over time, I'm not going for like every single cart, but I have got a fairly modest collection now, so I am sort of into it and would like to get more.
Yeah, talking about not going for every cart, I've noticed some of the carts are now not available, like Techno's 10, or Techno's cartridge 10, number 1, Techno's number 1. You can't get anywhere anymore apart from on eBay. So yeah, they are. And then that gets us to our final. I'm sort of jumping ahead a bit here to our final topic, so I won't touch on that too much. But for me, this cartridge, like you've said, Tim, it's got a very varied number of games on here. Hearing Sir Top and Hat talk so passionately about a couple of these games has made me certainly more interested. Yeah, Body Blows looks nice, graphically looks very good, but I don't know how that's played because I've never played it before. Full Contact again looks interesting, but again I've never played it. Yeah, Arcade Pool, I think it's a game that you possibly might need a mouse for, so hopefully they will be able to map the controls, so that will work really well. I know I've spoke to Dorbs offline quite a lot about this, and he had an Amiga when he was growing up, and I think he gave it 6 out of 10, which isn't too bad for him because he's usually quite his standards are quite high on these things, so getting a 6 out of 10 is quite good from him. Yeah, a lot of Alien Breed games, but I guess that's what's going to sell this cartridge, isn't it? People have a lot of nostalgia for Alien Breed, so I get that why they've put them on there. I would have liked to have seen the 3D version of Alien Breed. I'd never even heard of it until the other day, but it looks very much like Doom, so that would have been a nice touch. But again, I'm sure they will put that on a second cartridge. So all in all, I'm happy that we're getting Amiga games. That's the main thing here. We're getting Amiga, and yeah, this opens up so many possibilities for the Evercade in terms of other Amiga developers. So I'm going to put you on a spot here, Sir Top and Hat, because you were right back in October. If you were a gambling man, and you may well be, who would your money be on for the next developer? And you can't say Team 17.
Ah, there you go. Well, I think there will be a second collection. I think we might even see a second collection this year. I'm not sure. But yeah, if it was myself personally, I'd go for something like System 3. I think they would be an awesome one. If you remember the last Ninja series Myth, all those sorts of ones, I think that's massive for people, and I think that's something they'd enjoy. So, yeah, Flimbo's Quest, yeah, all the really popular ones. So, yeah, that's something I'd like to see come to an Amiga collection. But, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
Oh, you raised your eyes there, like you might know something that you don't want to tell us. Okay. So before we get on to talking about Piko Collection 3, I just want to tell you about an exclusive deal. Thanks to our good friend Jelly Bear Creations, you can earn an amazing 10% off by using code RGR10 until the end of March on any of their Evercade or other stands on their website. The link to the Etsy page is tagged to the top of the chat, and it's also in the comments as well. So go grab one of these amazing stands today. I will show you a picture. Here they are. So as you can see, it's a perfect complement for your Evercade EXP, and they come in different, I believe you can get a white one as well. And there was a wood grain Atari one as well, which looked very nice. I don't know if they are planning on doing another run of those, but if they do get over there. So it's discount code RGR10. That's 10% off until the end of March. So do go check out the link and upgrade your Evercade collection today with an amazing stand. Okay, so we are now going to move on to Piko Collection 3 and everyone's thoughts on this. So I'm going to go backwards on this one because I kind of threw you under the bus last time, Sir Top and Hat. So I'm going to start with TriangleFace on this one. So whilst I try and share my screen badly again, I'm going to hand over to you, TriangleFace, just to give your thoughts on the accident. I'll get Sir Top and Hat's view whether it was an accidental reveal the other day in a minute, so we'll get his thoughts on that. But TriangleFace, is this a collection that you are looking forward to, and is it one that you will be picking up?
Yeah, I think so, actually. It looks pretty good. A lot of these games I've not played before as well, so it'd be fun to sort of discover them on the Evercade and play them for the first time. I think it's quite impressive. We've got a couple of 32-bit games on there, and then there's still, 10 games in total, including a couple of 32-bit. So it shows what it can do. I would have thought if you had a 32-bit game on there, it would have had less games in total to fit it all on, but they've got 40 Winks, which I've not played before, but looks quite fun. And then you've also got their Super Bubble Pop, which is another 32-bit game on there. So another one with a good range of genres. So you've got first-person shooter, you've got this Radical Box. There's the Puzzle Bot one. It's another 3D game puzzler. Metal Mech, again, looks like one I'd have to play to know if it's any good. It looks interesting, but if the controls are clunky, it might be terrible. I quite like my turn-based RPGs as well. So that Legend of Legend of Wukong, isn't it? That looks like my kind of game. I definitely be up for playing that. So a good range. Unlike this is kind of the opposite of the Team 17 cart. I mentioned Team 17. All the games on there are multiplayer. All the games on this cart look to be single player. So they're all one-player games, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Motor City Patrol as well. Looks like it is a fun one. And yeah, I like the fact that I've not actually played any of these games. So if I get it, that's 10 games that I've not played before. So that just definitely piqued my interest. So
okay, do you know what systems we've got here? Because I've seen Punch Kings 2002. Yeah. What's that? Game Boy Advance? Yeah. PlayStation?
Not sure, it's Game Boy Advance Punch King.
Okay. Looks very nice.
It is. It's an excellent game.
Okay. I'm intrigued by Swords of Sedan because it looks like one of those games where it's come out at a time where it's really trying to push the graphics, but then actually ends up being kind of terrible. Do you know what I mean? Like when you get this game, it's like, oh, it looks really good graphics, then the controls are horribly clunky. It just has that vibe about it, but I'm really intrigued to play it because it looks like it must be really bad.
And is 40 Winks a game you've played before? Because I know a lot of people have been pushing for this game. I'll be honest. No, I've never heard of it.
I've heard of it and I've seen it, but like it came out when 3D platformers on the PS1. There's loads of them, isn't there? And I think I played, Gex and Croc and Spyro and Crash Bandicoot and all those ones. I just never got around to 40 Winks. It wasn't at the top of my list. But yeah, it looks like it could be interesting.
Yeah, and Zero Tolerance, first-person shooter, which I thought was the first. And we were chatting about this offline, weren't we? Before we believed this was the first-person shooter on Evercade, but I think there might be an Atari Lynx game.
Yeah, there's an Atari Lynx one. Yeah, that's it. Cybernoid. I think
that's
it is.
Yeah, because I was trying to rack my brain thinking, is that a typo? And then I was like, no, actually, they are right. There is one that could be classed as that on, well, it is, isn't it, on the Atari Lynx collection, as you've just mentioned. Okay.
Yeah, it'd be good to get some more first-person shooters, actually, if it can happen. Yeah. That's one genre that's missing a bit in the Evercade at the moment, is some first-person shooters.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. I'll save you until last, Sir Top and Hat, because you'll be able to tell us what consoles all of these games are on and a bit of backstory. So I'll just hand over to you, Blunners. Is this one that you've got your eye on? You'd be interested in purchasing?
Yeah, other than I have played 40 Winks, but other than that, I haven't played any of the other games on there. And is pretty much what TriangleFace was just saying. They do look really good, actually, and especially the first-person shooter one. And there's another one that looks like the old top-down GTA games back on the old PS1.
Actually.
Yeah. So, this is something I think I might wait for one you boys to get, and then I'll have a quick go and see what I think before I make my mind up. But yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you mentioned you'd play 40 Winks in the past. What kind of do you recall what kind of game it is?
It was a long time ago because as I said, my brother used to work at a video shop, and we used to.
It was 1999 on here. It's not, I'm asking you to think back almost quarter of a century here.
Yeah, so we used to have quite a lot of games through Blockbuster, but it was. I can't vaguely remember it. Vaguely remember playing it as a kid, but it wasn't one that stood out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it looks very nice though, and it's nice to have another PlayStation game again.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool. Okay, so Sir Top and Hat, talk us through your favourites here and what systems we're getting on this collection.
Well, the first one I want to really give a huge shout out to, and I was a massive fan of it in the arcade and on the PlayStation 1, and it's great to see Radical Bikers. Now, this version originally was made by Bit Managers / Gallego, and it was cancelled during production. It's for the Game Boy Color, and I'm absolutely delighted it's been finished off and brought to the Evercade, because I only ever saw, I think, one or two glimpses in magazines years ago of it in production. So it's fantastic to see they've managed to capture that one. So I think that's given us a real treasure, and it's great fun. If you enjoy things like Paperboy, for instance, where you deliver the papers, this one you've got to deliver the pizzas, and you've got to get there before the other pizza houses. They're all going to be racing to deliver the pizza. So a bit like Crazy Taxi, you've got to get to that area and drop off the pizza. So I think people will have a lot of fun with it once they give it a go, but it's just one of those that I think once you've had a go, you'll be hooked and you'll want to deliver more. And yeah, it's just great fun. Other one that's a massive favorite of mine is Punch King on the Game Boy Advance. I love the speech in it. It was something that captured me years ago. I love the count when the referee starts to do the count when you knock an opponent down or you score a knockout. It's got some great characters in it, and I was a big fan of Punch Out. So yeah, this sort of gives you that similar feel. And if you were to buy it on somewhere like eBay today, boxed, you'll easily part with £50
Wow.
for a game like that. So yeah, you won't pay any less than that, certainly. So yeah, you'll be looking at 50 there. Another one I was a huge fan of back in the day was Metal Mech. I loved RoboCop and I loved Ed 209, and it sort of reminds me a bit of that. If you remember on the Amiga, there was also another game called Killing Game Show, which featured another sort of Ed 209 character. In Metal Mech, you don't just play the robot; you're actually a person inside of it. And as you go along the level, you press the button and you jump out. And you've got a little handgun, and you can go up ladders and down in the sewers. And you've got to collect certain things, and then get back into your robot, and off you go again. So yeah, that's a fantastic game. And also originally, it was made by Gillego, of course, that we've already got 2 collections by. So it's fantastic to see that Piko actually managed to snap that one up, because yeah, it's quite a big game, to be honest. And again, you wouldn't part with anything less than £60 on eBay. So again, it's I think it's a great find. Other ones, you mentioned Motor City Patrol. Fantastic game. Yeah, very similar to the look of the PlayStation 1 GTAs. You drive around the streets, you can fire a gun, and you get these little, you look on the map, and then you can see where the crimes are being committed. And it will let you know on a little screen with a little digitized picture of the criminal. Like say Bert, and he's done a bank robbery. And then bank robbers, I think, are in red cars. And then I think other types of criminals are in green cars. And you've either got to shoot at them, or you can put your blues and twos on and skid in front of their car and arrest them. You do so many arrests per level. And again, to purchase this one on eBay, easily £150. If you remember the original license for it on the NES, that was Matchbox that made it. So the people that made the Matchbox car. So yeah, obviously they've stripped off the Matchbox license, but yeah, still a fantastic game and definitely worth a go. So yeah, similar with the RPG on there. I mean, you wouldn't, if you go to eBay at this exact moment, you'll pay £250 for the only copy on there. So this is a huge collection. I total up myself whilst having a brief look, roughly around £781 worth of games there. So it's 100% worth people's time. And as I say, some real gems on that collection. So definitely.
Okay, and the 40 Winks, what can we expect from that?
Yeah, I mean, I had 40 Winks back in the day on the PlayStation 1. Fantastic game. Really great fun. I enjoyed all those sorts of games at the time. And yeah, that was massive. So yeah, I think people will have a lot of fun with that one. I think it's a real crowning jewel of the collection.
Okay, and Tim touched on Sword of Sudan, looking nice, but playing not very nice. Can you confirm that, or do you quite like it?
I mean, there's a lot of people that are fans of this game. Piko owned 2 versions, the Mega Drive and the Commodore Amiga. It's one of those games I think you've got to give it a go, and it's either for you or it's not. So yeah, it's very much that type of game. So yeah, I can't tell you you'll definitely get into it, but if you do, it is a very good looking game. And yeah, the characters are a bit wooden and things like that, but yeah, overall I think it's quite a good little adventure.
Okay, so that's the Mega Drive version we're getting here.
I would imagine so, yes. but I don't know definitely.
Okay, so what systems are we getting here then? So you mentioned Game Boy Advance, Mega Drive,
Yeah.
NES, PlayStation. Are there any others there? Master System or
No.
that covers it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think that covers all the bases.
Okay.
Game Boy Color, of course, and that's about it.
What's Game Boy Color? Sorry.
Game Boy Color is Radical Bikers.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's not in the pictures there, is it?
No.
No, I was looking for that when you were talking about it, thinking, "Where's the picture?" And I couldn't. But they've just put the 9, haven't
I'd
they?
certainly love to see the PlayStation 1 version at a later date or the arcade. So, yeah, either would be great. It's a fantastic game.
Yeah, no, it is a very, very nice collection and one that's definitely piqued my interest. I think the last two, actually, the Team 17 and this one, are both going to draw people in and possibly
Yeah,
new
definitely.
audience to the Evercade as well, because when they see Amiga, that's definitely going to draw them in. But yeah, I like the look of the Punch King. If you say it's similar to Punch Out, I used to love Punch Out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, very much looking forward to that. And that Zero Tolerance looks awesome as well. So
Yeah, definitly.
yeah,
One of the most
and
asked for games on the Evercade.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, so this is released at the end of April, or is it the end of May?
End of May for this one.
The end of May. Okay, and this is
I
the
mean,
one that.
If this goes down well, Piko Interactive also own Duke Nukem 3D. So I wouldn't be against seeing that in the future if people like their first-person shooters.
Oh, there seems a lot of interest in it when you go on the Facebook groups, and people do mention about first-person shooters and the lack of them on Evercade, and people call for Doom all the time. But I imagine that's quite a difficult one to get. So,
yeah, I would imagine.
You know, the next nearest thing, if they could get Duke Nukem, that would be massive. If they could get that on there, that'd be really cool. Okay, so that moves us nicely on to our last topic of the evening. So if you do have any questions for the panel, do get them in the chat and we will try our best to answer them. So the last topic that I wanted to talk about is there a second-hand market for Evercade products? And I mentioned earlier that I've noticed some of the cartridges, Techno's cartridge 10, is sold out everywhere. I couldn't find a copy of it anywhere apart from on eBay, and I think I saw it sold for £39. But then equally, I've seen people try and sell limited edition purple handheld, and that it was selling for less than what they purchased it for. So I'm going to put it out. I'll start with you, Blunners, and just put it out to you. Do you think Evercade products are going to go up in value, or do you think they're going to stay as they are, or do you think over time that everyone who is a fan of Evercade will have Evercade stuff, so there's not going to be that market for it?
Well, I think it depends, because like recently, that's how I've purchased my OG Evercade, and that's how I've purchased recently Indie Heroes, was through like his second-hand market. I didn't get it as the day one. I picked my Evercade up for £35, which is an absolute bargain, I think. But I do think the ones you were saying was that we said the carts that aren't being printed there might go up in value. But I think it'll be mainly for new people that are coming in and wanting to have these full collections that go across. That's what could bump it up in the future. What were they called, like legacy carts? Was that what we were called last time? I think. Yeah, and I think they're the ones that they could be like your gold ticket ones, really. But yeah, I do think there is a market for it, and because there's a market for anything, but it depends. It depends on like Top and Hat was saying earlier about like your cost, like your individual cost of these games, and you're picking them up for like under £20. That's crazy. So yeah, I do think it just depends. I think it depends on the carts, but there is definitely a market out there for them.
Yeah, these legacy, it's clever, isn't it? Because if you were clever enough to hoard a few of those legacy ones, because I think Pico 1 I couldn't find anywhere either. That's another one that's gone legacy very quickly, and now it's not available anywhere. So that again could start to creep up on eBay. But I think things that are quite common, that or aren't legacy, like in Television 1, for example. I can't see that being worth, £39 in the future. But yeah, I'll pass over to you, Sir Topping Hat. Do you think that Evercade products are going to start going up in value with these legacy cartridges, especially?
I think it's too early to tell. I think it's a very niche market. I mean, you just touched then on in Television, perhaps not being a rarer cart later on, but if it didn't sell well, that will give fewer in the area, and therefore it might actually surprise us and become one of the ones that's more expensive.
Very true.
Again, you mentioned Piko Interactive. I mean, unfortunately, there was nothing they could do about that. Piko actually sold off several of their licenses, and including those were like Draken, etc. So they no longer own them. So in that case, they had to axe it. But I mean, I'd like to see them do a bit like Nintendo used to do. Do you remember their select games? And I think they could do another rerun of some of these by re-licensing them, like the Technos ones. And perhaps they could launch them out a little bit cheaper, perhaps £15 or something like that, or £10, and resell them. And I think there could be a market for that, because nobody does budget games anymore. Used to see them with the PlayStation and the GameCube and all sorts, where they used to do these sort of select ones that were a little bit cheaper after they sort of done a ton of Super Mario Sunshine. It suddenly went on to this like slightly cheaper label. And I think there's a real market there for Evercade if they look for it. And, the Oliver twins aren't difficult to reach and things like that. And they could perhaps, get some of these re-signed for that. And I think it would bring them in a small, tidy little income there to keep investing back into the company. So, yeah. Definitely something they should look into.
So you touched on the Oliver twins there. Bearing in mind that was for charity, that cartridge. Do you know why the license was so short-lived on that? Was there any reason why that wasn't longer term?
I'm not sure. I might have known at the time. I can't think of anything offhand now. No, I'm not quite sure, but I know the deal was for a couple of years, and that was it. So it doesn't mean that Evercade haven't gone back and they haven't signed a second collection. But unfortunately, for some reason, that's not renewed. But if I was them and I was around the table, I would definitely make sure that I tried to get that, because I would have thought it's one, if not their biggest selling cartridge, it's certainly up in the top 3. So I would definitely try and get that re-signed.
So what would you say were the top 3 then? Before we move on to TriangleFace's thoughts on the second-hand market of Evercade, I'm just really interested to know what are the top 3 sellers in your opinion?
Well, the top 3 have to be the 3 that came with the original cartridge. Original unit, I would imagine. Interplay, of course, and Atari and Namco, because everybody bought the original. So that would definitely be in the top 3. But outside of that, yes, definitely Oliver Twins and Renovation Collection. Things like that. That's excluding obviously any arcade ones that came with the Versus and things like that, which would obviously again sell thousands in itself.
Yeah, of course. Okay, that's interesting. The Oliver Twins is, because I've not got much nostalgia for Dizzy or Oliver Twins games, but obviously there is a huge market for it, and the fact you're saying that it's in the top 3, it's kind of took me back a little bit, because I knew.
I actually knew a whole demographic of people that purchased it that never actually owned an Evercade. But because they love Dizzy, they bought the cartridge. So that in itself, I know for a fact it sold a couple of thousand to people that don't actually have an Evercade. So
Okay, interesting. Okay, and TriangleFace, your thoughts on the second-hand market of Evercade products?
Yeah, I think there'll be a small market for it, but I think it'll be a while until we see second-hand carts going for more than they originally sold for. I think at the moment this is just going to mostly be people that are done with a cart that isn't their favourite and they're getting rid of it, and someone's going to buy it cheaper second-hand. So I think it's going to be like that for quite a while. I don't think it's going to be it's going to be quite a while until we see the scarcity that is going to push the price up. So I don't think the price is going to go up. And part of the Evercade as well is the price point, isn't it? It's a really affordable way of getting these games, and also it's still fairly niche. So the only people that are going to look to buy the cartridge are going to be Evercade fans who have an Evercade, and chances are they're buying the cartridges when they come out. So will there be that many people actually buying them? It's just going to be people that maybe are late adopters or miss some. They're going to go back. I think, like Blunners said, there's a market for everything. So we will see them, but I don't think we're going to see like really high-priced ones, at least not for a long time.
Okay, and what would you put your money on being the most expensive cartridge in, say, 5 years' time?
It's got to be one that didn't do so well. I think it's going to be one of the ones that people haven't gone for. Like you mentioned, like maybe one of the Intellivision, like Intellivision 2 or something like that. If not many people have got it, then like there's going to be more people looking to buy the ones they missed. And I think a lot of the really popular carts people are going to buy and they're going to keep. Like I don't think they're really good selling carts people are going to buy and then sell. So it's probably going to be the less popular carts that will become obscure and people have to find.
Yeah, I'm really going to have to pick up Intellivision 2 because I'm starting to get a bit twitchy now because I've refused to pick it up, and I've got my collection behind me here, and I haven't got IRIM because I'm waiting to get an EXP eventually.
Yeah,
and I haven't got Intellivision 2 because I just refuse to part with £18 for it. So I constantly look on eBay for someone selling, even if it's a broken one, I'll buy it because it will just go in a collection, and I'm never going to play it anyway.
I'm kind of glad I didn't go for like every cart because I'd be stuck like, oh, you have to buy everything then if you're going for it. I've only gone for the ones that appeal to me that I want to get. But the only one that I keep on thinking, oh, did I miss a trick here, is the Oliver Twins one because I didn't get the Oliver Twins cart. And lots of people say it's one of their favourite carts. Oh, am I missing out by not having it? So that's one that I might consider getting. But again, that's one of the ones that is going to be hard to get hold of.
You pick it up now on Funstock.
Yeah.
It is still on there. I did check before we come on air. But yeah, definitely pick it up now because, as the Top and Hat says, that's one that's going to be it's one of the most popular sellers. But if that goes out of circulation, then you're going to struggle to get one. So I would try and pick it up if you can.
Well, I think it's funny. I did get the Commodore 64 cart because I had a Amazon voucher and I could actually get the Commodore 64 Mini for cheaper than the Commodore 64 cart because it was on offer as well. It's discounted. So I got myself a Commodore 64 Mini, but I really don't enjoy it. I was playing anything. It's not my era of gaming. I played it. It's like, a lot of these games are really bad. But I think it'd be one of the ones that's fun to play with mates when you've got friends over, and then you could just like have a go on all these like old 8-bit games. But yeah, I just thought it was funny that the Commodore 64 collection cart inspired me to get the Commodore 64 Mini, but I kind of regretted it once I plugged it in.
Okay. So in my opinion, the original handheld, unless you've got the black one, that's going up in price all the time because they only made 3,000, didn't they? So there's definitely a market for those. And because that was the very first Evercade product, well, that and the white one, but the black one, there's so few of them, I can see that being worth quite a bit in the future. In terms of the other, possibly the black EXP with the ones with the seal of approval on the box, because they're going to be so different. So again, I think there's going to be a market because the collectors, and I know you're certainly one of them, so topping out with 5 original Evercades to update today. Is that something that you would want? Would you want both of those EXP limited edition boxes, or would you just be happy with the one?
Yeah. I mean, it might be something I'll collect. So I've got both. Yeah, it's nice to have the different variations, like the starter packs and the premium packs and things like that. So yeah, I definitely add it to the collection.
Okay, that is interesting. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions here. Andy Davidson, always good to see him here, said about those Dizzy games, but the Spectrum versions weren't the games on the Evercade made to sell the Aladdin deck enhancer. Was that a Nintendo NES thing?
Yeah.
So
the Aladdin deck enhancer was just a way of them getting around basically having it licensed by Nintendo to put them on the NES.
Okay.
Okay.
And do you still feel those Dizzy games are as good as the Spectrum? Because a lot of people have nostalgia for the Spectrum rather than the NES versions of those games. So
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Everybody's got their favorite versions of things. I mean, when I spoke to the Oliver twins, they told me that their favorite versions are ones like the NES, because obviously the scrolling's smoother and things like that. So to them, they consider those more definitive. Whereas to somebody like myself, who had Magic Land Dizzy and Treasure Island Dizzy and things for the Commodore 64, I'm very much in love with the chiptune music. And yeah, obviously I'd like to see those versions, and yeah, just like Andy, he loves his Spectrum versions, and yeah, I don't see, everybody's got their favorite versions.
Yeah, 100%. Because I could sit here and say my favorite version of FIFA is on PlayStation 1, and then you could sit there and say, no, the best version was on Nintendo 64 or something like that. So everyone's going to have different opinions on that, and everyone's going to have different nostalgia because they would have played a game on a different system growing up, and that's why gaming is so great, because everyone's got different memories and different views.
Yeah.
And it's nice just to talk to people who've got and just share their memories. So and that's what Evercade does. I think it brings everyone into a nice community to talk about these memories. And we've got a question here, and you did answer this earlier, Sir Top and Hat. Oops, sorry, Blunners, that's me pressing the chat as well as you.
There you go.
Oh, here we go. There we go. Can the panel? You said you were going to press the buttons. This is, amateur hour from me. Can the panel list their predictions for other Amiga publishers we'll see bringing out Amiga carts? So Top and Hat, you did mention.
Yeah, System 3. Yeah, System 3, or certainly Gremlin. They've already got those on side, so that's
So
also an option.
If we got Gremlin, please tell me we'll get the Amiga version of Premier Manager.
I knew you were going to ask that. I knew it was.
Is that likely?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, I would have thought at the moment we've only got that one management game, so yeah, it'd be nice to have some other ones, definitely.
Yeah, it's disappointing, that manager game, because I had the first one on the Mega Drive, and if you picked a Premier League team in demo mode, you could carry on to the next season even though you weren't supposed to. But on that 97 one, it just kills the game after a season.
Yeah,
And, there was no way around it. It was like, no, end of game, end of game, end of game. So TriangleFace, is there any publishers you would want to see from Amiga, or likely?
Yeah, again, I mentioned that I had the Acorn on the Amiga, but there's a couple of games I had on the Acorn that were from Chrysalis Software. I had a lot of nostalgia for those. There's some really good games under that developer, and it looks like they do have those games were on the Amiga. So one of them was Mad Professor Mariarty. That was a really fun platformer. And there's also a sort of platform puzzler called Terramex. They used to really enjoy playing. That was really cool. And then they got like a few shooters like Blasteroids, which is quite a good one as well. So I'd quite like to see a Chrysalis cart, but I don't know if that's overly well known. I don't know how big a studio that would get any recognition, but some really cool games under that brand as well.
Yeah.
What's this one that?
And
Bob's put on.
Yeah, he's put Psychonosis.
Oh yeah, that's a good shout.
So what games are Psychonosis?
Unfortunately, they did Lemmings, didn't they? They did Lemmings.
Oh, they did Lemons.
Psychosis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Psychosis did it, didn't they?
Okay. So, yeah. Do we want? Well, a lot of people have nostalgia for Lemmings. I want to see a sensible software collection, but I don't know how doable that is. Is that a thing? So Top and Hat, are they still a company, or does someone else own Sensible Software now?
I'm not sure offhand, but I think it is doable. Yes. Yeah.
What about this one from Andy?
MS-DOS series.
You need a keyboard though, wouldn't you, to do run the game?
Yeah.
How you used to do it?
Yeah.
I would love to see like a BBC Micro collection. Again, I don't know how good that actually run without a keyboard and stuff, but that was always really cool. BBC Micro games. The other thing I'd really like to see is another Bitmap Brothers collection, Bitmap Brothers 2. So I really want to get one of my favorite Bitmap Brothers games was Magic Pockets. I think Magic Pockets needs to be on Evercade at some point. That was a great game.
Yeah, I was a massive fan of that too. Yeah.
I think this definitely needs addressing with Rob. I think if we had some more advertisement coverage, because it would get their name out there a lot better.
Yeah, they were on. Funnily enough, I was reading when I was away this weekend. I was reading Retro Gamer magazine, and as I turned over the first page, there was an advert for the EXP in Retro Gamer. So Evercade are getting adverts out there. In terms of TV adverts, I don't. That would cost thousands, I imagine, even to have an advert at like 4 o'clock in the morning on like some. It'd be nice to see it on, maybe on one of the shopping channels like QVC or something like that. Maybe that could be an in. I don't know.
They were on Games Master, yeah.
Yeah, they were on Games Master, so they've got contacts.
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely. QVC is probably a bad suggestion. Does anyone go on QV? I don't even know if it's even a thing anymore. But so Top and Hat, I know you advertise Evercade heavily on your Twitter page. But do you think that's something that they could do better or more of advertising?
Yeah, definitely. It's something they've got to look into. As you say, in the last 2 issues of Retro Gamer magazine, they have taken out the inside page to do an advert. But yeah, they do need to work on that heavily. And maybe things like Instagram and things like that could be a way in. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, something they really do need to promote. I think if people are made a little bit more aware, maybe even if they tried to get it a bit more on tech shows. I know it appeared roughly on the Channel 5 Gadget show originally, but yeah, it needs to be spoken about a bit more, and yeah, hopefully we'll build the community.
Yeah, 100%. They need to contact someone who's been on Love Island this year just to pose in a picture stood next to a swimming pool holding an Evercade, and that was just a few thousand. Go down the social influencer route.
Be everywhere then, wouldn't it?
That's what most people do now. And just before we go, we have gone slightly over an hour, but as Els just put this question in, we'll just get to this. Do you think we'll see more dual carts this year, and if so, any ideas of game? Might get Elwa's Awakening 2, possibly with something else. So Top and Hat, any thoughts?
I think we're going to see 2 dual carts.
Ooh.
Yep, I think we're going to see 2 dual carts. To answer your question about Aura's legacy, I did speak to Mikkel recently. I was doing something for him, and I did pitch in that we would like to see Aura's legacy. So the seed's been set. So you never know what he could do. So hopefully, yeah, perhaps a native port of that would be lovely. But yeah, I think we'll see 2 dual carts this year.
Excellent. I love having you on here. You're like the insider, like the Darmish and Carve on the Sky Sports, transfer deadline day, getting all the rumours. You're just Evercade's version of that. It's brilliant.
It's like, right, quick, we go to Sir Top and Hat outside Evercade headquarters.
Yeah, it is great. Okay, TriangleFace, Blunners, any thoughts on a dual cart? Any games you'd like to see on a dual cart?
I'll go. Well, I was saying that's one of the reasons why I got into Evercade, really, because I love all like the modern style retro. That's why I've obviously gone for the 2 indie hero carts first. I would love to see more like what we've just said, really. But yeah, I'll definitely.
Yeah, I definitely love to see more of them, because the ones they've done so far, the games of them have been really good quality. So it's good to get 2 really decent games on a cart. And I really like the ones they've done so far. So again, I just like the modern retro games, like more indie stuff. Yeah, I think I'd definitely be interested if they did more of what they've done so far.
Yeah, okay. And I'm going to pass this straight to you, Top and Hat, because I've got no idea what that even means, that comment, just before we...
Oh, yeah, Archer McLean. Yeah, I mean, Archer McLean's Pool and things like that. Great games. Archer McLean passed away this year. So I don't know who owns his license currently to his name or anything like that. But I mean, if somebody like Piko grabbed it up, I'm sure, there could be something done there. So yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay. Well, On that note, I just want to thank Blunners, TriangleFace, and Top and Hat for joining us this evening on episode 2 of Total Evercade Podcast. Thanks everyone in the chat for your comments and watching. Don't forget the 10% discount code, which you will find in the comments. In the comments to this video and in the description as well. So don't miss out on that. That's until the end of March. So do pick up your Evercade stand. And thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. And we will be back in 2 weeks. So thank you and good night.